Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Today I am back with another video where I'm going to show you my spiritual book collection, all the books that I have read so far or am still reading currently, and how they have helped me in my spiritual journey, and hopefully how they can also help you in yours. So astrology is actually what introduced me to spirituality. Astrology is the practice of believing that the planets all exert their on us and that this can influence us as individuals. So what I first started doing before getting into more spiritual stuff is I started by going over my birth chart, starting to understand what's going on in the birth chart. And I started by reading this book by Stephen Arroyo. All my astrology books are by Stephen Arroyo because he's a genius. And this one is called Astrology, Karma, and Transformation. It's a really good book that talks about how astrology is actually related to karma and transformation, and karma and transformation are very spiritual concepts, and how we can transform by knowing certain astrological placements in our chart and how they can shape the karma and the transformation that we have to go through in our lives. Very, very good book. I will highly recommend this. Another one of Stephen Arroyo, maybe my favorite, or maybe this is my favorite, I don't know. It's called Astrology, Psychology, and the Four Elements. I made a video on this as well. And it just basically talks about the relation between astrology and psychology. And by a lot of psychologists today, astrology is taken more into account. People are starting to realize that these two disciplines are actually can go hand in hand. He talks about a psychotherapy based on astrology, where they take the birth chart of the individual into account and what a certain astrological placements can also say about the psychology of an individual. And it's just beautiful because when I read this, I think I finally started to understand, okay, so the fact that I'm not super like this, that I like this, it corresponds with my chart as well, and it gave me a lot of understanding about myself. By knowing the chart of an individual, we can also improve our psychological treatments, because we actually take the time to understand the individual. I strongly believe that every single person has an individual map, and that individual map is the birth chart, and you are more or less transmuted to certain energies. He explains, like for example, people with a lot of fire in their charts gonna have to deal with their ego a lot more, because ego is something of the element of fire. People with a lot of water in their chart are going to have to deal a lot more with their past traumas, because water represents subconscious and the past. I think I read this like 6 times, and every time I read it, I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Exploring Jupiter. Jupiter, the planet of expansion, of growth, and luck, abundance. There hasn't been a lot written on it. So the fact that he made a book, 300 pages on just one planet, Jupiter, and how this influences the individual person, but also the transits of Jupiter, it's amazing. It's really amazing, and I feel like you don't get so much on Jupiter just by searching on the internet. So I highly recommend this book if you're a little bit further in astrology. It can be difficult if you know nothing about it, but that's why I would recommend you to first read these two, and then maybe if you are still interested in it, also Exploring Jupiter by Stephen Arroyo, a really good one. And then I have the Astrological Aspects. This is by Charles E.O. Carter, and this is a very, very basic book, but useful. It's very useful. It's only about the aspects. But aspects are the most difficult part of astrology. It takes just a little bit more for a person to fully understand the relation of aspects in astrology. And this one for me is just when I'm doing some aspects in a chart, I can always grab this book and have it as a little bit of an aid on what is going on, something to help me if I don't get to it myself. So yes, this is good for also a little bit later on in your journey of studying astrology. It is really good because it helps as a guide for analyzing astrological aspects in the birth chart. I have some more. Okay, this is a really good book. I think that maybe some of you have seen this before. It's also a very popular book. It's called Moonology and it deals with the lunar cycles. So for me, this one came a little bit after my astrology rage. I'm a Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. I'm not saying that you have to be a Cancer to work with the cycles of the moon, but I did notice that for me, there are certain times during the month that I feel a little bit more anxious or I feel a little bit more like this, and that's what sort of pulled me towards Moonology, because Moonology explains how you can work with these lunar cycles. So for example, if there is a full moon, when it's all about releasing and the energies are bottling up, what is best to do during the full moon? Also during the new moon, how to make your new moon wishes. I did some videos on that as well, so you can also look at my channel. But this one really helped me to sort of get a grasp on what was going on with the lunar cycles and how they were affecting me and affecting my peace of mind and how to work with them. It teaches you how to approach life through knowing what the moon cycles are, and how, for me, I've been doing this right now for a couple of months and I've experienced way less stress, way more happiness within myself, because I know sometimes it's not the right timing for things, even though you might want it. And that's what it helped me with. This book is just really good to getting in touch with the basics of the moon. I didn't know much about the moon before I started reading this, only the astrological things. So highly recommend it. Everyone can read it. You don't need a lot of pre-studying, maybe a little bit on the moon, but you can also just buy this book and learn it through the book, because it actually gives you everything that you need to know about the lunar cycles. Numerology, very basic book, but it just explains the method of numerology and all the different things you can calculate with it. And it's beautiful because, again, it gives you very simplistic information that you can do a lot with. It's only a very thin book, but you can calculate so many numerological values through knowing the method that's inside of this book, and they're already showing you some of your numerological values. So really good for your name number, personality number, destiny number, all these type of things you can calculate through this book. Also highly recommend it if you like having this type of thing written down in a book like I do. Like, I know you can find it online as well, but I like to save it in a place and scribble in it, and you just have something to do non-digitally. If you're more into the numbers and a bit more into the mathematical side of spirituality, or if that interests you, get a numerology book, because it's just fun. It's just fun if you like numbers and if you like to see certain number patterns, if that is something that you're interested in. If you're interested in math or interested in anything numerological, great book to get. Connecting with angels. for me, when I first saw this, I was like, what is that gonna do? I'm not gonna lie. I was a bit skeptical. I was like, I don't know. But then I was like, yeah, but I would love to do that. I don't know if that's possible, but I would love to connect with angels. That would be the best thing in the world. And when I first started using this book, that's when I first was introduced to my own angelic protection. So, believe it or not, we all have angels working for us. We all have spirit guides protecting us, looking over us. And by this book, you learn how to call them into your life, and you're starting to see more things such as synchronicities, messages from them. But I recommend this book only if you are a little bit further along in your spiritual journey. I didn't like the idea in the beginning of calling upon spirit guides or whatever. I was like, ooh, that scares me a little bit. So you have to be a bit further along in the process so it feels comfortable for you. It feels like, yeah, okay. Like I want to, if you feel a need, if you are a bit further along your spiritual progress, you know what's going on and you feel like, okay, it's time for me to connect with the higher realm, then this is a good book and assists you through how to do it, but only do it when you feel like you're ready. Don't do it when you don't know what you're doing. This one is written in Dutch because I couldn't find the English version, but this one, there are a million books like this. This is just a crystal guide. And it's also for me that when I buy a new crystal, I can see, okay, to which of the chakras does it connect? What is its purpose? Where can I use them for? And that's why I bought this. It's just very useful to have when you first start working with crystals. Really good. I would highly recommend, like, just get some crystal guide or find it online so you know, you know the type of energies that you're working with. Then I have The Alchemist. This is a beautiful spiritual book, if I can say so myself. I've read it in one day because I don't know, I just love reading, so I read a lot of books. But it's so good. Look how beautiful it just is. Look at the back. Look. To realize one's destiny is a person's only obligation. Yeah. That's so cute. Like, this book, highly recommended. It's more of a fictional story. The Alchemist is a book about a boy who has certain dreams and he is going down his path of fulfilling his dreams. But this book captures so many beautiful spiritual lessons and basically like the essence of spirituality, of alchemy, and how important it is to follow your destined path here in life. I would highly recommend this to anyone. You don't even necessarily have to be super interested in spirituality or whatever, but man, it's a good book and it's beautifully written. It's just full of wisdom. That's how I saw it. When I read it, I felt like, yeah, you know what you're talking about. I'm here for it. I have 4 books that I have gotten into my mailbox today and have not read yet. First one is The Secret, and it talked about the law of attraction. So for me, I want to learn more about the law of attraction because this is something, it says that everything that you manifest physically also manifests mentally. So everything you think about, the more positive you are able to think, the more positive you are able to attract. That's sort of the basic mechanism about the law of attraction. But here in this book, they actually explain how you can work with the secret. And the secret is the law of attraction. Well, that's spoiler. Yeah, but it literally says on the back of the book, sorry. Then we have The Untethered Soul. And I think they could have done a better job on the layout. It looks a little bit whatever, especially with this random ass horse. But okay, whatever. I'm very, very, very excited to read it actually, because it talks about how we would live if we are free from any limitations. I have not read it yet, so I cannot say much about the content of this book yet. It walks you through the relationship you have with your own thoughts and your own emotions and how they impact your life. Yes, and it just helps you to control your energy in a way that other people cannot infiltrate their energy upon you. I'm super excited to read this. The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. And then, look how beautiful this little book looks. Tao Te Ching, the Book of the Way. Lao-Tzu. So it's a Japanese little book. And this book is a little bit more poetic. So there are awesome sort of little poems per page. It's a bit more challenging, I think, than the other books. But I love those type of stuff too. I think it's very aesthetic and it's very nice to have a book that you just cannot stop thinking about because you don't know right away what is meant. I feel like that's why I was so in love with this book. I saw some things and I read it and I was like, why don't I know what it means? And that actually really triggered me to go read it in depth and see what it's trying to teach me. Because I've heard so many good stories about it. And last but certainly not least, A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And I have been so excited to read this book for many, many reasons. But the first reason is that it talks about the ego. And ego is our perception of ourselves based on external factors, based on what other people think of us, or based on the environment we live in, based on social or cultural factors. Just something that's very prominent in society nowadays. And I believe that with the age of Aquarius that just has started, with Saturn moving into Aquarius, the stage is set for the next 3.5 years, and spiritual awakening is going to be of more importance. So to read a book like this, I would highly recommend. Living in the ego can really impact you negatively, and it can really stop you from being able to achieve your dreams, being able to go and find your own destined path. All the energy that gets in is very harsh because it's such an ego-driven energy, and that makes it more low vibrational. And I believe that we as a new generation are supposed to bring spirituality back, raise the vibration. Right now the world is filled with angry, raging egos, but there is a better way, and in A New Earth, Eckhart Tolle provides the spiritual framework for all of us to move beyond ourselves in order to make this world a better, more evolved place to live. Shattering modern ideas of ego and entitlement, self and society, Tolle lifts the veil of fear that has hung over us during this new millennium and reveals a path to happiness and health that every reader can follow. Yes, I feel like this book can really give you some insight on what is going to happen. Because I'm going to say it, people are not going to agree with it, but I know that this is going to happen, and we're going to go through a spiritual upgrade as a collective. Many people are going to be forced to see their true selves, just see what really makes them happy, and that is going to raise the vibration of the earth. And if the vibration of the earth rises, then again we're living happier, because everything with a greater vibration, you can just function on a higher energy. And if you function on a higher energy, you're obviously more happy than when you're functioning in low energy. We are going to create this new earth, And that's why I highly recommend this book.